Melissa Drexler, after 30 minutes inside of the prom venue bathroom, gives birth to a baby boy who was just under 6 pounds, and she gives birth straight into the toilet. He was alive when he was born. Melissa, if this is important to you, it's important to me. Will you go to prom with me? This is all very romantic. And so they just started planning months and months and months ahead. Now, Melissa, on the other hand, what she didn't plan for was that she was gonna miss her period. So she goes up into her room, she has like this little calendar in her bathroom, and she realizes that her period is super late. So she kind of panics and she tells John Lewis, her boyfriend, about it. And instead of being like, well, it's okay, like, let's go buy a pregnancy test together, like, let's go figure this out together, he was kind of panicking because he's also very young, and I'm sure his parents wouldn't be okay with this, and I'm sure he's not ready to be a dad. And in that moment, he starts being like, what do you mean? Like, I thought you were on birth control. I thought we were being safe. Like, what do you mean? There's no way, right? There's no way. That panic kind of sent her in a mode where she was like, you're right, don't worry about it. It's okay, you're right, I'm not pregnant, it's just a joke, hee hee ha ha. Now, Melissa was about 130 pounds when she wasn't pregnant, and people did see that she was gaining some weight, but she was never gaining weight on her face or her legs or her arms, which is usually the first way to tell people when they're pregnant. Nobody suspected she was pregnant. Even her best friend Rebecca, her parents, who at multiple occasions have seen her naked, never assumed she was pregnant. So she understands she's pregnant, but she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand what that means. She just tries to ignore the thought and tries to just hide it. So then prom rolls around. Now this is June. John Lewis picks her up and he's like, wow, you look beautiful. Her best friend Rebecca's there, Rebecca's date is there, and they're like, wow, let's take these pictures. They get into the car to go to prom, and that's when she goes into active labor. So earlier that morning, her water had broke. Now attorneys will claim that she had no connection to this happening. So like she was disassociating from her water breaking. Like that was the word that they kept using. And I know that there's something called dissociative identity disorder. This is completely different. So this isn't her having different alters inside of her body, but her just completely taking herself out of her body. So her water breaks first thing in the morning, prom day. She still gets ready for prom, puts her hair up in an updo, wears that black sleeveless dress, gets picked up, and in the car is when she starts having contractions. She starts going into active labor in the car. Now the place that the prom was at was not at their school. It was like this hotel, like this venue. So it's about an hour away from where Melissa lives. And then people are like, hey, are you okay? And she'd be like, yeah, I think I just have some stomach cramps. So for the hour, she drives to prom, they arrive. She gets out of the car, there's even a picture of her walking into prom. This is what it looks like. So she goes into a stall immediately, and there's girls outside, and she starts going into full-on labor! She's in this little stall by herself. There's girls coming in and out, fixing their hair, fixing their makeup, and they are listening to her, and she's trying so hard to be quiet. But of course, when you're in that much pain, she's kind of like moaning a little bit. So the girls, they start whispering to each other, and they leave the bathroom, and all of them leave with the idea that a couple snuck into the girls' restroom and are now doing it. Now Rebecca, John, and Rebecca's boyfriend or whatever, they were getting a little bit concerned. They're like, she's been in there for quite some time. So Rebecca goes into the bathroom to check up on her, and she kind of hears her moaning and stuff, and she's like, hey, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? You're taking so long. And she says, and I quote, I'll be out soon. Tell the boys I'll be done soon. So they're just like, okay, this is really, really odd, and they just hear more screaming. They just hear all of this. This continues on, and Melissa Drexler, after 30 minutes inside of the prom venue bathroom, gives birth to a baby boy. And then she realizes, okay, like there's this baby here, and I don't know what to do with this baby. Right. You usually need like doctors, nurses, family support. You need a ton of stuff when you're giving birth, but she just did it in a public restroom stall. So all these psychiatrists and these lawyers, they claim that when she saw the baby, she didn't see a baby. She didn't see what we assume we would see when we give birth. She saw almost like a tumor, almost like a foreign body, like something that caused her so much distress. So she claims that she had put her hands around the little baby's neck for a while, and then she went out of the stall to look for things, and she found a plastic bag, she found some towels, she cleaned up what she could, and then she puts her baby into a plastic bag, ties up the plastic bag, and places him into the trash can at the girls' restroom. She fixes up her makeup and she heads back out. She really looked pretty happy. Like, she looked pretty, like, content. Like, nothing was wrong. She looked like she was enjoying herself. And she ate a salad. She actually went on the dance floor to dance with her boyfriend, John Lewis. She even allegedly requested a song called something by Metallica. And that's when the prom staff decided to send in janitors to clean up the girls' bathroom. So they open up the trash can and they see tiny little toes. And so they immediately call 911 and they're freaking out. The ambulance comes and they proceed to give CPR to the little baby for over 2 hours. Usually in cases like this, there's no way to save a baby. So it was pretty easy to point out that it was Melissa, and she was gone for a really long time. Supervisors at prom, they pull her to the side and they say, hey, did something happen in that bathroom stall? And she just claimed that she was just having really, really bad menstrual cramp. And the prom staff, they're like, all right, no, we need to call prom off. And they call the cops because there's a dead baby inside of a trash bag at prom, and the police escort Melissa away to the hospital. So the police escort her to the hospital, and sure enough, she had just given birth, and they know that. They call her parents. They also had to alert John. So the police tell John at prom she just gave birth. And at the same time, they had to let him know that the baby's dead. He was interviewed extensively, and the police believe there's no reason to doubt that he had no idea that she was pregnant. The hospital was concerned about Melissa's state. Obviously, they wanted her to be healthy. She had just given birth by herself in a bathroom at prom, and they also had to perform a autopsy on the baby. Things would drastically change on the criminal side if he was stillborn versus if he was alive and then he died. So if your baby is born stillborn, I didn't know this, but you only get a death certificate. Now, if your baby was born alive and then somehow died of a complication, you get a birth certificate and a death certificate. So they needed to know if this baby gets a birth certificate and a death certificate, or if he was born stillborn. Cause of death was asphyxiation and strangulation. Whether he died when Melissa choked him or he died in the plastic bag from suffocation, we don't really know, but he was alive. This is like murder. Straight up murder. And about 18 days after prom, Melissa Drexler was officially arrested and charged with first-degree murder. So she had to go through trial. There was so much controversy. Like, what do you mean nobody knew she was pregnant? The boyfriend, the family members, the best friend, the teachers, nobody thought she was pregnant. So finally, her trial is approaching and she decided to plead guilty for aggravated manslaughter rather than first-degree murder, go through with trial. So she was up for sentencing, and this was about, I think the max sentence was 15 years. And the judge told everyone, like, you are not a monster. Like, they said that they didn't want people to think that Melissa is a monster. She did commit a crime and she would have to pay the price for that, but she is not a monster. The judge decided to be very, very stern, though, and gave her 15 years, the maximum sentence. However, she only served about 3 years of it. And then she was released, and now she is kind of under the radar. She is married. She is a mom of 2. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.